Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
The TMDL view, the new hottest topic
Yeah.
of Power BI.
Yeah. 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 So first of all, thank you guys. You guys are doing a great job. GPP, you are not missing any specific year, right? So every year at correct time, you guys are conducting these community contributions, right? So this is a very good initiative, right? Just keep doing that. And thanks everyone for joining this session. So far you have maybe have seen Power Apps and Gen AI stuffs, but this session is more of Power BI. I'm sure like you will be interested with these topics like DAX query view and TMDL view. And this session is for intermediate and advanced Power BI users or developers because I'm not going to talk about how to do Power BI and all. So this is more of a pro developer concepts and how you can leverage these features more effectively in your day-to-day activities. Let's get started. About myself, I'm a Microsoft MEP in data platform. So it's already fifth year now. And I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer and CompTIA multiple training sessions for both the students and the corporate peoples. And I have more than 16 years of experience. My whole expertise around in data and BI analytics. So you can reach me on LinkedIn in case if you have any queries around the Power BI, Microsoft Fabric, and I have a lot of scripts. The reusable components are hosted on my GitHub, and even the queries which I'm going to use in this session is also placed under my GitHub. So if you want to get those queries for your projects, your day-to-day activities, you can go and grab it from this GitHub. I'm also running a YouTube channel called Hari's BI. So there I post videos about Power BI, Microsoft Fabric. Right? You can just go and check all of them. The agenda for the session is going to be like introducing this DAX query view and TMDL view. So if you guys are already started using this, most probably you might be familiar with these concepts, but still I'm going to show you some of the utilities or reusable scripts, right? So which will be really useful for you to understand your model and understand in terms of the performance bottlenecks, right? So all can be easily identified with the scripts that I'm going to show you. And then TMDL is a very latest feature. So this is going to change the way of developing a Power BI semantic model, right? So you don't need to go and do all the stuff in GUI, right? You can easily or even programmatically create your Power BI semantic model with the help of TMDL view. Right. So it is not just a more of an introduction. I will talk about how you can use these two features within Power BI Desktop on a day-to-day activities and how this can be useful for you to build a effective or a high performant semantic models for your projects. So let's start with the DAX query view. So DAX query view, it's been there for more than a year, right? So DAX query view you can consider as a DAX playground, right? So where you can write your DAX expressions, be it a DAX measure or table or a column, right? So you can write everything within that DAX query view, and you can easily validate the results and verify whether it is matching with your requirement, and then you can start use the same in your Power BI reports and visuals. And this DAX query view is there in both Power BI Desktop and Power BI Service. Right? If you are executing any DAX query view in desktop, you can still execute the same query in Power BI Service. And it is integrated with Copilot, which means you can easily leverage Copilot and ask any questions about DAX, right? So you can ask Copilot to suggest new measures based on your semantic model, the tables, columns, or you can ask Copilot to explain if any of the measures are being written by some other developer, which is complex in nature, right? You can use Copilot to explain those measures. There are a lot of possibilities with Copilot. So with the Copilot capacity or the Fabric capacity, you can start use Copilot for your development as well. Right. So on top of that, info functions, right? So this is an important collection of functions which is added as part of DAX query view. So I'll talk about how you can leverage these info functions, right? So if you're using Power BI semantic models or tabular models in SSAS, you might be familiar with the database management views. Right? So most probably we not use those DMVs, right? The database management views, because that is something that it's not going to help us for our development purpose. Right? But those DMVs now wrapped as a info function. So there are a lot of informations available under info functions, right? So for this session, you will start use these info functions for various use cases. So that's about DAX query view. Let's dive into the demo. So I just go with a simple report. I'm not taking any complex setup here. So it's just a simple Contosa semantic model. Right? So these are all the list of tables, and the relationships are already created between the tables, right? So it can be a simple model or a complex model, but that is not a matter here. So here we are going to talk about this DAX query view. Right? So this will be there by default on your Power BI desktop. Right? If you are using the latest version or any version which you have installed even from last year, you can see this DAX query view. Right. So I'll just quickly talk about some of the features which we have in this DAX query view. Then I'll talk about some of the use cases where we can use this in your day-to-day activity. Right. So in this canvas, you can write DAX expressions. So since it is a DAX query view, you have to write all of them in a tabular function wise, right? So you cannot simply write a measure here, right? You can write a measure, but you cannot simply execute the measure. That has to be wrapped within a tabular function. Right? You need to start with the evaluate function, and then you can write any table, right? So for example, if I just type this table, so basically this is going to return a orders table, right? You can see the results here. So this section is more of writing DAX expressions, and the below section is more of a result, right? So you can run multiple expressions also, right? So if I just write another evaluate statement, so this time if I write product, so I can execute here. So you can see the results of these two in the bottom, right? So the result one of two, one is nothing but the first result, which is order. And if you go to the result two, you'll see the results of the product table. Right? So this will be really useful if you have a model created where you are considering the tables or a direct query, right? You will not have an option to see this table view, right? So table view will be a blank for a direct query based tables, right? So for those scenarios, if you want to understand,
Hari,
yeah,
sorry, Hari. Hari, we are losing you in between. Intermittently, we are losing you. Maybe some connection problem.
let me check just a second. Connection is good only. So how about now? Is it better?
Looks fine. Looks fine. Looks fine. Sorry,
Okay,
sorry to break
or give
everything.
me a
Sorry to break
minute.
everything.
I'll just quickly rejoin. Just
Okay.
a minute.
Harry added you as a presenter. Can you start? Check it.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry guys. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Sorry, I just stopped my camera just for a better quality. I hope you guys are okay. I'll continue here, right? So I was explaining like in case if you're working with a direct query based semantic models, you will not get a chance to go and check your table view. For those scenarios, you can easily write this kind of a simple query and you can see the results within that query. Here you can see this is a floating window where you can easily increase the height of the result. On the top, you can see different options like you can just copy paste your queries from a different tab to other tabs, right? And you can easily do a format and you can easily do a comment, right? So these are all some handy features which are there already on the top of Ribbon. Right? You don't need to manually comment individual line. So these are all just a quick canvas and result pane. So what else we had as part of DAX query view? There are quick queries got added for each of the objects. Right? If you see here, when I right click on the table, you can see quick queries. So this quick queries is going to show like show top 100 rows, show column statistics, right? So if I just go and check top 100 rows, you can see this query is now automatically written for you, right? And you can see the results of top 100 rows. It in the same way, like if you want to understand the column statistics, right? So as part of the project, if you want to understand what are all the different columns, what is the statistics of each column, right? So this is something that you can easily do in Power Query layer, right? In case if you missed and if you don't have access to the Power Query layer because of the credentials, right? You can still do it here. Right? When you do a column statistics, you can see these are all the list of columns which we have on the table and the total number of rows, and then how many distinct values are there, null count, right? So the complete statistic, which includes median, even, odd, and then percentiles. All these informations are there. Right? If you again right-click quick queries, you can see define new measure and define all measures in this table and define all measures in this model. Right? So when you say define new measure, so this is going to show a place where you can start create a new measure. Right? So usually, if you want to create a new measure, you just go to either where you just click a new measure icon where you'll get a formula bar and you can write a measure. So instead of doing that, you can probably start creating a measure directly within this DAX query view. Right? So when you create a new measure, by default it creates a new measure, and it comes with the default expression. Right? You just go and change this into any of your expression that you want to write for your semantic model. Right? So as I mentioned, like you cannot simply execute a measure. Right? Let's say if you create a measure like this, right? So this is a measure and this is the name of the measure. You cannot simply execute the measure, so that measure has to be wrapped within the table function, right? So in this case, it is using a summarize column. Right, so with that, you can easily see the results within this result pane itself. And if you are okay with the results, and you can start add this measure into a model. Right, so as of now, this measure is not added into the model. So you can, if you want, you can still add this measure into a model. I'll show you how to do that. And then if you go to the column level, right? So these are all the quick queries which you see at the table level. Right? If you go to the column level, let's say if I go to a specific column here, I can see a quick query. So in this case, I have two different options, right? So one is show data preview. So this is going to show the unique list of values from that specific column where we have clicked the quick queries, and you can see the column statistics specifically for this particular column. So previously we saw for the entire column in the table. Now we can see for the specific column. Right? And in the same way, if you go to the measure, right, you will see a different option. Right? So here, I just right click on the measure. I just go to the quick queries, and you can see evaluate. Right? So when I click evaluate, it is going to just simply execute the measure, and you can see the results. Right click, and if you see here define and evaluate, right? So when I just evaluate, you can see So the measure got added, and this is alias name because we are adding within the summarize column. But if you want to understand what is the expression which is written inside this measure, you just go and choose the second option, define and evaluate. Right, with that, you can see this is the definition of that measure. The measure name is delivery amount, and that measure is now called within the evaluate statement. Right, so for some reasons, let's say you want to modify this, right? So just for a demo, I'm just adding 10. All right. So now I added a 10 on top of this whole expression. Basically, I changed this whole expression, right? I just simply execute the results. Uh, calculate function. Okay. So 10 should go here. Execute. Now we can see the results. Okay, so let's say this scenario works for my requirement, right? And now I need to go and update this measure, right? I no need to just copy this and go to the table view or a report view, go to the measure and modify, right? I can see a code lens here, right? You can see this is a code lens. So this is not just a place where you can just go and execute and see the results. So this is a place where you still can go and update your measures or create a new measures. Right, if I just click update model, override measure, right, what will happen? Like this measure, the measure name called the delivery amount will be automatically updated with this latest change. Right, you no need to go to the measure again and do the changes. Right, if I just go to the uh, uh, report view, and if you see the plus 10 which we added, right now it is there in the model. Right, so which means like you can still query it here. You can it here. So we can do all sort of read and write within this DAX query view itself. Right, now you can see that option is not visible. That update measure option is not visible because it identified that this is a measure and this is an expression. Right, so we have not modified this measure expression. Right? So let's say I'm just trying to modify again. Now instead of 10, I'm just modifying this to 100. Now we got the code lens again. Right? So it identified whether the expression got modified or not modified. Based on that, you will see the code lens. Right? Now I can just go and update. Right? So let's say if you want to modify these kind of things for multiple measures, right? Not just a one measure, you can still do that, right? So you just go here, quick queries. You can see define all measures in this model. You can see this is the final summarize column with all the measures. And if you go top, you can see all the definition of the measure because we have given define all the measures in the model. So these are all the measures which we have in the model. You can see on each of these, you can see the code lens. Right, you can easily do the changes, right? I'm just be adding 10 here. So you can do complex expressions, right? Just for a demo purpose, I'm just doing a simple changes. So instead of go and update each individual measure, you can just go and click this option, update model changes, right? So this will consider all the changes that you have done on the measure, and it will be automatically saved on your model. Right. So this is how you can make use of this DAX query view to play around with your DAX measures or tables. Right. It is not about just seeing, right? Sometimes you, as a standard, you need to even format your queries, right, for better readability. Right? You can go and do this. Right? Just simply format query. It will format all the measures. Right. Again, you can still do a format query for a specific format for the entire measure. So once you have formatted your entire measure, just click again update model with the changes. Now all your query will be formatted. So we no need to spend time copy and paste it on DAX Studio or maybe a DAX formatter and format it again, right? Or you can do it here itself. So these are all the things which you can do within DAX query view, at least within this canvas, right? So what are the other possibilities, other scenarios or use cases with the DAX query view? So this DAX query view now integrated with the performance analyzer. So which means if you go to the visual, we just go to the performance analyzer, you can start record, right? This is the place like where we just go and analyze our visual performance or DAX query performance, right? So if you expand this, now you can see copy query, which is something was there from the day one. And you can see the other option called run in DAX query view. Right? If I just click run in DAX query view, you can see the query is now automatically copied on this DAX query view window. It will simply go and execute it. Right? In case if you have some slices added, all those slices will be added on the script itself. You just simply go and modify the slices, and you can see the results here within this query view window itself. Right? So this is one of the scenario where you can effectively use this DAX query view, and then you can use Copilot, right? You can just see Copilot, right? So for that, you need to map your workspace where you have the fabric capacity, at least F64 plus capacities added, right? So once you mapped your workspace, you can start use Copilot. Right? So there are a lot of use cases. You can use Copilot to comment your measures, right? Add descriptions to the measures, and you can or even you can ask the Copilot to create new measures based on the model that you have on the Power BI desktop. So there are a lot of use cases. Maybe you could just go and play around with this option. So I'll just focus on some of the important concepts within DAX query. Right, so that's about DAX query view. Let's talk about the other one, info function, right? So which I highlighted. So info function is something which you can see in DAX Studio, right? As a database management views. Right, if you go and see, these are all the database management views. Right? So these views are really useful for you to understand the properties of your model, right? If you just simply go and choose any of these, right? It will show the list of tables which you have in your model. So these are all the metadata of your semantic model. Right? So like that, it is not just holding a table; it holds columns, anything that you have in the model, right? So all are captured under different DMVs. So now those DMVs are wrapped and made available as a info views. Right? If you just go uh, create a new tab, and if you start type evaluate statement and type info. After that, if you click a dot, you can see these are all the available info views. Right? If I just go and search for tables, you can see. So this will give you all the metadata of your tables which are there in this model. Right? So you can see these are all the list of tables, and these are all the other properties of this table. So like that, you can go and check the measures, right? Because you may need to document your measures, right, as part of your project. So it is very difficult for you to go and capture the expressions one by one, right? Instead of doing that, you can just go and just simply execute this info measures. Right? You can see the list of measure names, and then the expressions and all other properties of the. Simply copy this entire table and paste it in your Excel. Like that, there are a lot of info functions, and there are a few info functions which are even supported within your model itself, right? When I say within your model, right, for example, if you take this one, so this is going to show the list of columns across your tables. Right? If I just can take this, I go to the model. So now I'm inside the model, right? So I can go and create a new table with that info view. Right? Just go and create. So for some reasons, let's say if you want to build a glossary for your semantic model where you want to expose this to your end users, right? You can still build a new table with this info view. Right? It can be a columns, it can be a tables or a measure. So there are four info view functions can be called within your model, right? One is the columns, the second one is tables, or the measures, or the relationships. So these four can be called within a model. But if you try to call the other info views, right, just simply info dot tables. So these info views are not supported currently within the model, right? Which means you cannot use these info views within your model. So only those four views can be used, which can be added in your model as a separate tables, and that can be used for your glossary. So that's about info view. But you can understand, like this is very important for you to understand the model, right? You can just simply go through the list of measures, the list of columns, and then what is the data type, right? If somebody has created the semantic model, if you want to understand, it is very useful for you to run these kind of queries and understand the model. Right? And what are the other possible use cases with these info views, right? So that's what I'm going to So with these info views, you can have vertipack analyzer information directly inside your DAX query view. Right? So usually, if you want to understand or if you want to optimize the model, so our first step is going to the DAX Studio, go to this advanced view metrics, and open the vertipack analyzer. So this is a place where we can have a detailed understanding about our tables, columns, relationships, the cardinality, the size of the model, right? All these informations are available on Vertipack Analyzer. But using DAX query view and again using info views, you can have all this information available on your DAX query view itself. So that's where I have multiple queries captured. Probably you just make use of them, right? All are available on my GitHub. Right? So let's say if I want to see the table information, right? What we have in the Vertipack analyzer, right? If you want to see the same level of information on your model on Power BI desktop itself, right? Just simply copy paste the query that I have, just execute it. Here you can see these are all the list of tables. So you can even compare this information with the DAX query view and the DAX Studio Vertebrae Analyzer, right? So it holds the same information. The cardinality, the size of each individual column, right, the DB size, right? So most of the informations are captured here. Right? It is not just for a table. So you have information for columns, relationships, partitions, summary, right? So if I just go and quickly show you the relationship one, just simply copy and execute it. So you no need to modify it. So these queries are going to run for any model that you have opened in your Power BI desktop. You no need to modify any script here. Just simply execute and you will see the results. So basically now the Vertipack integrated within DAX query view within Power BI desktop itself for a developer who are working in an organization where they are not allowing to use those third-party tools, right? But still you want to understand the Vertipack information, so you can make use of these queries. Right, so what else can be done, right? It is not just a Vertipack analyzer. Since we have the whole metadata of our model stored across different info views, we can utilize all those information and we can even understand the model in a more better way, right? So when I say understand, so I have queries created to show the model summary, right? So if I just copy, go here, query, just simply paste, execute. So you can see, as of now, just captured these properties, but this can be further extended. You can see like how many tables are there in the model, how many columns in which, how many calculated columns, the direct columns, measures, relationships, all these informations which you can easily check it here. And in case if you want to still document it, you can just copy paste in your Word document or wherever you want to document this entire model property. Right? It is not about just seeing the high level information, right, or the summary information. I also gave you the detailed information, right? Let's say there are 7 measures or there are 10 relationships, right? So if you want to understand what are those 10 relationships, right? You just copy this, right? Just go here, copy selected cell and just go to a new window and copy paste and just remove this double quotes because that is stored as a string. Just execute, right? So this will show you all the list of relationships that are there in the model. So like that, you just go and check all this information. And in case if you want to deep dive, you can still deep dive with these detailed queries. So this is about just a summary. And let's say if you want to understand some of the issues, right? So you have options to use tabular editor, BPA rules, right? Again, third party, right? So in case if you want to see some of the critical issues about your model, right? You just go and execute the query, right? Model issues. So here again we captured just a basic rules, but you can still further extend, right? Because all these queries are just written using those info views, right? The info functions which I highlighted, right? So nothing complex. Again, these are all tax queries. So you can simply read and understand. You can further enhance it. Right? When I execute this, you can see like, is there any redundant column, inactive relationship, yes or no? right? Pass or fail, right? So this will give you an idea about how many standards and best practice rules are being followed in your model and how many are not, right? You can just go and focus on those missing ones, and you can easily optimize your model. Uh, so I'll leave these scripts on the GitHub. You can just go and make use of this. Uh, so these are all stuffs which you can easily do on top of DAX query view. I'm sure like this will improve the productivity, at least on the understanding the model and improving the model performances, right, following the standards and best practices. So far we have seen on DAX query view and Power BI desktop. So as I mentioned, this is even available in Power BI service. If you just go to Power BI service, so you need to enable settings on the workspace. So once you have enabled, you will see this right DAX query views. To the workspace, I'll quickly show you what is the settings that I refer. Go to the workspace settings. So this is the setting that you probably might be already enabled for you to access that open data model, right? It's the same setting. So make sure you have enabled this the data model settings, because both DAX query view and the open data model is following the same settings. So once this has been enabled, you can access both options, like open data model and write DAX queries. So if you just go and write DAX query views, you will see the same section, right? What you have in your Power BI desktop. In the same way, like here, you can start write your scripts, right? So even the scripts which I showed, you no need to run them in your Power BI desktop, right? And let's say if you have model already been deployed into the workspace, right? You can still run the queries directly on the Power BI service. So again, these queries still can be executed for your import models, direct query models, and even direct lake models. So you can see the results. So that's about DAX query view. Okay, let's see if I have anything else. Query path, document. Okay, yeah, that's about DAX query view. Let's go to the next topic, TMDL view. So TMDL view, as I mentioned, it is latest feature. So thanks to Microsoft, thanks to Ryu and team for introducing this TMDL view. So this is going to be a feature which is for a pro developer who can do all sort of things directly within Power BI desktop itself, right? So let's say if you want to create a new for a semantic model, for example, calculation groups. Of course, it has been already available in Power BI desktop, but if you take perspectives, right? If you take cultures, right? So those are all things which is something cannot be created directly within Power BI desktop using GUI. So we have to depend on tabular editor or other tools, right, to create those perspectives or any features which are not directly supported in Power BI desktop GUI. Right. So now with this TMDL view, you can have all those features added. Right. So you're not going to uh, uh, do that in GUI because they have not introduced all the features in a GUI. So this is more of a coding experience, right? So where you can easily write a code and you can create perspectives, you can create cultures, right? You can create a lot of stuff, right? So basically, if you want to customize or if you want to even create a new semantic model, just simply writing a code, right? Instead of going through different places in a GUI, you can easily do with the help of TMDL view, right? Probably I can show you some of the use cases, how this can be very useful, or how this can be considered to reduce your development time, right? And this enables access to all the objects properties, right? When I say all the objects and properties, so the one which I referred, right? Perspectives. So perspectives is one of the object in the model, right? Which you cannot create. Right now, you can create it. Right? In the same way, like there are a few properties which probably you might depend on tabular editor, right? For example, is MDX. That feature for a column, right? So that is not available. That you cannot configure within Power BI desktop. Right? You have to go with the tabular editor to configure the same, right? Even for the object level security, right? So all has to be done in tabular editor, right? So now we have a coding experience. You can write a code objects or even the properties created or updated. And as of today, we don't have a native Copilot integration for TMDL view, but eventually that will be there because we have the Copilot been already there for DAX query view. The same way, like we will be getting a Copilot for a TMDL view as well. But you can still leverage GitHub Copilot. So since this TMDL is just a JSON like coding, right? Or a YAML like script. You can take the script into VS Code, and there you can have a GitHub Copilot extension added, and there you can leverage Copilot to maybe write a new DAX measures or add descriptions for your columns measures, right? So there are a lot of use cases which you can do with GitHub Copilot on top of your TMDL scripts. So those who are new to TMDL is nothing but tabular model definition language. Right? So basically, this was called initially as a TMSIL, right? Tabular model scripting language. It's a kind of a JSON-like language, right? So if you unzip your PBX file, so all the data are stored in a BIM file, right? There all the properties of the model are stored in a TMSIL format. So now that has been upgraded, right? We still have TMDL, but on top of that, team has introduced TMDL, where you can easily understand the semantic model, the each individual properties or objects of the semantic model. That's about TMDL. Maybe I can quickly show you the TMDL view. So TMDL view, as of now, it is in preview. So you have to go and enable this under options preview features, and make Power BI desktop installed. So with that, you see that preview option. So go to preview feature. I can see TMDL view. So once this is enabled, just close your Power BI desktop and reopen it, and you will see this TMDL view. So this is the canvas, right? Something similar to the DAX query view. So here, this is the place where you can start write syntax. Right? So initially, like probably might be difficult to know like what is the syntax of TMDL, right? What is the syntax to create each individual component in the semantic model. So that's where what you can do is just maybe start drag and drop the objects from your model, right? If you just simply drag and drop this table, so this script is created. It's basically this is a script which is used to create this table in this semantic model. Right? You can see create or replace. So this is a function which is currently supported. Maybe in future we may get delete function also. Right, so within this create or replace, you can see the table. So because we just scripted the table, right, or you can just right click and you can see script TMDL to script tab or clipboard, or you can just simply drag and drop. Right, if I just simply drag and drop here, it is going to create a new script for a customer table. You can see the customer table. So under that, these are all the columns, right, and these are all the individual properties of the column. And you can see all of them, and on the bottom you can see like what is the mode of the table, right? Whether it is the import, direct query, or a direct link, right? And what is the power query transformation which is used to create this table. So all these informations are available here. In case if you want to go and update, you can still do that. Right? So if you just place your cursor on any of the section, if you start type, right, it is going to show all other properties, right, which are there. Property, right? Sorry, each individual object, right? When you type it here, it is going to show all the properties of the column. Right? When you type it here, it is going to show all the properties of table. Right? So like that, you can see all the properties, right, within TMDL view. Right? As it has IntelliSense enabled, you just simply type and you can understand this. So these properties are nothing but what you see on tabular editor, right? Under properties, you see different options, right? So the same property, nothing new. So how this can be useful for our day-to-day activities, right? So when you want to create a new semantic model, we just open the blank Power BI report, go to get data, connect to different sources, right, and start add the table, right, create measures, right? So all we just usually do in GUI, right? So and sometimes it may take more time as it has to do a lot of validations, right? But what you can still do, right? Let's say if you want to create a new model, I'll just go and create a new file. So you can make use of this TMDL view to create a new model from scratch, and you can start add individual tables, right, with the right standards and best practices. This one, this is a blank report, so nothing is there. So now, as a standard practice, I want to create the transform data groups, right? Basically, the folders to organize the table and the parameters, right? The server name and database name parameters and fields, right? So now you can see it is empty, so nothing is there. So you can have some scripts created maybe in your repository, right? You can make use of the scripts, or you can share the script with your team, right? So they can just simply go and execute those scripts. Right? Just quickly show you those scripts. So those are all TMDL scripts. You just go and uh, copy and paste this, right? So this is the script. So here we have defined the standards and best practices. With that, the developer will not miss to follow any of these standards. Right? So here you can see just a model, right? Some of the default properties of the model, and some Excel sheets. So you can still configure some Excels, and you can see the server name, database name, parameters. So result type, and then range start, range end in case if you are going to configure an incremental refresh, right? And then some of the folders also, right? You can see main queries, parameters, right? So just copy, paste, and apply, right? So this will create all these objects. You just simply go and apply changes because we have done some changes on the Power Query layer. Just apply changes now. Go to transform data, and you can see all those properties. So these are all the parameters, these are all the folders, and now you can start add each individual table. Right? And again, like if we are going to reuse some of the tables from other models, right, or specifically like date tables, right, you can still document those date tables in a TMDL script. You just simply copy and paste it here, and the table will be created. Right? So like that, you can have all these standards defined as a individual TMDL file, right? Be it a table, column, or a measure, right? And you can share it with the entire go and execute it. Right? So just go and execute. So here I'm just creating a new table. Within that, I'm defining all the columns, right? The refresh column. So basically, this is something that we usually create to understand when the semantic model was refreshed. Right? I can do that by just copy pasting the script. Simply click apply changes, right? So I'm sure like this will save some time, right? Because if you go and do all this in your GUI, so you have to go to multiple places, and it will do a validation and loading the data, right? So now you can see all these tables are added. So not just a table, right? You can still have some measures created, right? For example, or maybe I can copy something from existing model. So here, if you see here, I just have a perspective created. So either I have created directly on the TMDL view or just created using a tabular editor. I just simply query this perspective in a TMDL, and I just copy this and paste it on the other report. Right. So I need to have all the tables in place, but yeah, I still can create. So it looks for the dependency. So once I have all the tables on columns in place, I just simply copy paste and execute. So not just perspective, right? So I need this measure. Right? Probably I can take this table first. So this table I need. Let's go here. Copy, execute. Okay, now I got the sales table. You can see the warning message because it should refresh, because we have added the Power Query layer. It has to connect to the database, but you will see the table added with all the columns. Now, if the table is there, I can just even query this is a measure that I need to create in this model. I just simply go and apply create. Okay, for that I need a table. For that, this table currency, or I can one more thing. Measure table. Right? So as a standard, we can even create some table to hold all our measures. Let's just go and create this first. This code changes. Okay, so the previous one to be apply changes. So that, but yeah, the idea is like you can have these standard scripts created and stored in a repository, and you can easily use them to create each individual objects within your semantic model. So now here you can see I'm trying to create a new table called underscore measures. So this is the table which I can use to store all my measures. So that's about TMDL. Right? So I'll probably quickly show you some of the scenarios. Okay, so maybe let's talk about a scenario, right? Let's say I have created a model. Now all the models are in import. Right? If you want to convert maybe any of your table, let's say a fact table into a direct query, so usually that is not possible, right? If you created a model with an import, with all the tables as an import, if you want to convert one table into a direct query, it is not possible. You need to create a new model again, load that or connect to the table, change the connectivity at the start itself, and create a model with a direct query. Right? So now that can be easily handled with this single view. Right? So for example, I have a table, a sales table. So this is my fact table. Right? So if you see this is import, I can just simply just quickly show you. This is a sales table, and these are all the list of columns. If I just go and change this to a direct query, right? So direct query and then apply changes. So you can see changes apply to the model. So just go to the table view. You can see this table says not import. You can still validate this. Right? You just go to the sales table and you can see this is direct query. Right? So if it is a direct query, right, as a standard best practice, we have to convert these tables as a dual, right? So that we can get the better performance. Right? But if you go to that table, you will not have an option to simply change it. So it is disabled. Right? So usually we start all these tables as a direct query, and later on we'll change it to either import or a dual. But with the help of TimDLB. Uh, so with this setup, right, if I try to query, so this again, so the sales table is it's in direct query. If I clear this, just simply execute. You can see it is taking more time now. Just copy. So if I just copy query and go to DAX query view and just simply paste it here, you can see there are two queries. One is the DAX query, and another one is the storage engine query, which is SQL script, because it is a direct query table, right? But if you just simply click this, right, so run in DAX query view, so this will automatically identify only the DAX script. It just ignores that SQL script, right, and just execute only the DAX script. Right, you no need to manually copy this DAX query or a SQL script, right? That's the beauty of this integration. Even when you are trying to do a data validation, if you want to write a SQL statement for this visual, right, if the model is created import for some reasons, right, you can just simply convert this into a direct query, just to grab the script, right, the SQL script, and then you just get the query and execute against your database, right? So this is a SQL script. You can see there are a lot of details because uh, uh, the dimension table is in import and then the fact table is in direct query. Right? This is not a standard practice. Right? So what is the best practice? Right? So best practice, we have to go and update this table. Right? So I'm just querying which table? Product table. I just go product table. Table. I have to set this as a dual. So simply change it here. It is not supported in GUI, but you can still do it the code. Applying. Okay. So in case if you get any error, you can see that error under this output window, the problems and output window. So now these changes are successfully applied. I go here, so just show you that first. So now this product table, this is product table. Okay, this product table, now you can see it is dual. So this is not available for any of the other tables, because this is disabled. I have just did the change it through TMDL. Right now, if I just go and capture the query again, so refresh it well, you can see it is at least better now. Copy query, the DAX query view, you can see this is the updated select statement. So we don't have that the lengthy information, right? Because two tables were two different storage mode. Now both are in kind of a direct query, so you can see optimized SQL statement. Right, so these sort of things are not possible, as I mentioned. You can still do that with help of TMDL. Right, and one more thing, like so you can have multiple scripts created, right? Like this, right? A lot of scripts can be created, and in case if you want to expose this to all your developers, they no need to just simply open each individual query and execute. Right? Instead of doing that, they can just simply create a new Power BI semantic model them as a PBIP. Right? Let me show you that, and then we can place all the scripts in that respective folder. Right? Consider this is a model, just saving this as a PBIP. So this is PBIP. Click save. So under semantic model folder, you will see two folders. Tables. Basically, use to see DAX query PBI. Outside. There's this. So I'm trying to show you that actually when you save this as a PBIP, it will create two folders, DAX query view folder and TMDL folder. So you can place all your scripts under that folder. And when you try to open the file again, Power BI Desktop, if you go to that respective tab under the query tabs, you see all the files, all the scripts. Preview feature, TMDL is enabled. Okay, for some reasons it is not coming up. Tables. So here we should see the other two folders, tax query view and Probably you can try it out. For some reason it's not coming out. Yeah, so with that, the developer can place all the scripts which are required for to do the development, right? And they can see all of them under these folders, sorry, under this respective section, DAX query view and TMDL, and they can simply go and execute it. Again, with respect to the integration, just maybe query the entire model, right? You just go to the TMDL view, just drag and drop the entire model. And then you can just copy paste that in your this has all the objects, right? You just simply copy paste into your Visual Studio, and there you can enable this GitHub Copilot, right? So it's a extension which you can add. Again, there are free license and pro license, so you can still go with a free license, and you can create a new file, and paste it, and you can even add the Power Query extension. So here, once this Copilot extension is installed, you just need to sign in with your GitHub account. So with that, you just right click and you can see Copilot. You can see editor inline chat. Right, again, here you can ask any questions about the model, right? Asking Copilot to create a new measure, so adding a descriptions, all sort of things can be possible with the help of GitHub Copilot. Uh, that's all I have covered whatever I planned. Maybe can take up any queries.
Yeah, Hari, one of them is asking you to share your LinkedIn. I think that's fine. I think that will be shared already. I think if you can just copy paste Hari, it will be easier for them to reach out to you.
Yeah.
And Hari, thanks for a very informative session. To be honest, yeah, I think we needed something for the governance part that was inbuilt in Power BI, and we do not have to rush across here and there. Um, it was an amazing session. So thanks for taking time and guiding us through. Hari, I have just one question because last time, I mean, some of them are preview features, correct? And that those service preview features usually in enterprise level it doesn't work out, correct? Because usually people don't let it. Enterprise do not enable the preview features, at least the financial institutions. So, but most of the TMDL view as well as the DAX query view is in not a preview version for the development part, correct? Is my understanding correct?
That's right. That's correct. DAX query view is not a preview anymore. That is being there in both service and desktop. Again, TMDL is preview, but it is just coming as a feature within your Power BI desktop, right? So nobody can stop you to go and enable the preview feature as part of your development because nobody can control the desktop.
No, that's a problem. Most of the institution enterprise levels they tend to not publish it the new Power BIs on your
Yep,
so-called RMs VMs machines because usually people use
yep.
VM machines in those kinds. But yeah, but anyhow, it's going in the right direction. Makes life easier. Um, uh, Hari, one more question. Because I know there are external tools like measure killers to kill to see which are the unused message with TMDL view. Is there a way where TMDL will can act where we know that there are certain measures or certain storage calculations that we are not using it to remove it easily?
Yeah, there are scripts. Probably I can show you quickly. So I have prepared some scripts which will help you to understand some of the unused columns. Right? You
Yeah.
cannot remove it directly. Basically, you have to. Maybe I'll quickly show you. You have to just copy paste in a TMDL view format and then just remove it. Right? So that has been already there, but you cannot do like what tabular editor or maybe the other tools like measure killer can do, right? So there are some manual intervention is required. You can see the used columns, unused columns, right? So this will help you to understand how many columns are there and in which how many columns are really used like in relationships or in a measures or even in a calculated column, and how many columns are not used. Right? That information can be easily identified, but you cannot take a decision to just simply remove because those columns might be used for your report, right? Basically, you need to understand the report metadata, what columns are being used across different visuals, and then you can take a decision whether you still really need to remove from the model or you need to keep it. Well, some of them are possible with the TMDL view, but it is not like a one-click button where you just simply identify and remove. Some manual intervention is required for now at least, but probably we can expect some more additional capabilities in the future.
Got it. Thank you. Thanks, Hari, for the lovely session. I think people are liking it amazingly. Hopefully you will be presenting these to more of the public around in the different GPP sessions. And hope to see you soon
Yeah,
again with more details. And you will be sharing, Hari, the links to the GitHub.
yeah, I've already shared. Yes.
Okay.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for your time. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, Hari. Thanks a lot. See you. I'll stop the recording.